So again, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Topic today is tips and tricks for using Microsoft PowerPoint. Here's some of the things in the agenda that we'll be going over. The goal of these first couple of webinars that I've been doing is more of just like an overview of each app and giving you kind of best practices, tips and tricks. And then, as these go on, I can get deeper into more skills and other things that you can do, or updates in the apps and changes in the apps and things like that. So today, like I said, today's webinar is all about Microsoft PowerPoint. Right now, your cameras and your mics are disabled for the first 20 minutes, so I could go over all of the different agenda items. And then at the end, the last 10 minutes, we'll open everything up, and you'll have the ability to ask questions if you have any, turn on your cameras, open up your mic, whatever you feel comfortable with. If not, and also during the meeting, you can throw your questions in the chat. Cliff is here. He'll help me moderate some questions in the chat as I go through the agenda items, but he's also going to guest appear today at the end because he's going to go through transitions, the new morph option in Microsoft PowerPoint. So I am going to stop talking for a second. And I am going to wait another minute because it's officially 12:30, but I want to make sure we have enough time to go through everything. So I'm going to wait another minute or so, let everybody in, and then we'll get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. If you just came in, we're going to get started in just a minute. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started in 1 minute. All right, we got a nice turnout today. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to get started, and like I said, if you have any questions along the way, throw them in the chat, and I will either answer them along the way, or Cliff will help by answering the question in the chat for you. So use the chat. At the end, we will turn on the ability for you to turn your mics and your cameras on. So if you want to ask and answer questions at that time with me, you can. But today is all about tips and tricks for using Microsoft PowerPoint. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick and switch over to PowerPoint. And I like to go over kind of the key features of each application first. So we're going to open up the app version first. When I say the app version, I mean that's your desktop application version. So when you see the icon for Microsoft PowerPoint on your desktop, that's the application or the app when I say the app. So that is, let me just share my screen again. So here would be the desktop application of Microsoft PowerPoint. You have at the top your templates, which we'll go over in a second. And under here, you're going to have all your recent PowerPoints that you may have opened or interacted with. You have the option to switch out from any pinned PowerPoint presentations or any presentations that may have been shared with you. So this is a nice way to really be able to find what you're looking for in a quick and easy way if you're looking for a specific file, PowerPoint, obviously. And the other option you have is to access PowerPoint in the web version. So if you go to portal.office.com, you will then be logged into what is called kind of the home or the portal hub home of Microsoft 365 apps. There's actually a lot of stuff on here. I did go over this in a previous webinars. So check it out. I think it's a great option, a great tool to use. And also, it's really important to know the difference between the web version of these applications and the desktop version of these applications. So this would be your web version. And if you click PowerPoint here, and your apps are all on the left-hand side. And if you don't see any apps in the web version, you click the waffle and you can find all of the apps here. If you click all apps, it's in alphabetical order to make your life easier. And they even have a search bar. So you could definitely always find things very quickly here. But this is the web version of PowerPoint, which is what we're here for today. And again, similar look, you have your create new at the top with the template options here. You have some recommended files here, which are going to usually pull up anything that you've been recently working on. And at the bottom, similar. You have all of your files, all your PowerPoint files you recently opened, your shared, or your favorite. So you can really drill down and find what you're looking for. They have upload, filter, a lot of options. And this is the thing with Microsoft applications. Sometimes, actually, I'll say most times, there are features and things you can do in the web version that maybe you can't do in the desktop version, and vice versa. So that's why it's just good to familiarize yourself with both. So for today, I'm going to flip back into the desktop application version of Microsoft PowerPoint. So like I said before, if you're creating a new PowerPoint, you can click blank presentation up at the top. But what's really cool is that they have all of these different kind of pre-made templates and themes ready for you. So I'm just going to click into more themes on the right-hand side. So you can see here that they do offer a lot of different kind of pre-made designs and options for you just to help you get started on a presentation. They have a lot of suggested searches that you can kind of drill down into here. If you're really looking for a specific theme, you can search in the search bar and a bunch of different things could come up. So let me just click on, for example, I think I opened up the 3D float one before. So let's do that again. So if I click on that design option right away, it already has pre-made slides for me. Obviously, these are slides that need to be edited, right? And you can choose to remove a slide if you don't like one of them, or use kind of pieces or elements from a slide that you do like and drag it into another slide. But it's just nice to have the kind of pre-made elements there for you to build from. Just makes it a lot easier. So this is how you would use the templates or the themes. And then if you click into the design tab at the top, it actually will allow you to turn to change some of the pieces within this template. So if I click down here in themes, you can see as I scroll over the different themes, it'll actually change the font and the color scheme associated with the presentation. So if you may not like a part of it, you can always change that right here under design. So Microsoft and actually all of the Microsoft apps, including PowerPoint, really give you a nice start when you want to design something pretty. So you don't have to kind of create it from the top of your head, which is really great. The other option is Designer, which is on the right-hand side in the ribbon up at the top. So if I click Designer, it takes this pre-made template and actually turns it into different types of designs. So it takes the template, but then it kind of flips it and gives you other options of how you would want it to look. So you really have a lot of different ways to get yourself started without having to start from scratch. So I definitely encourage you to check those out because they're definitely a lot to play with in there. Okay, and now you have your toolbar versus your menu toolbar. So your toolbar or your ribbon is what is across the top of the screen here. This is where all your actions are, right? The tools that you're going to need to use to build your presentation. A menu toolbar is what happens when you highlight text or an element within the project, and this little mini toolbar kind of pops up for you. Microsoft wanted you to be able to quickly change things as opposed to having to come up into the main ribbon. So that's a nice option for you here. And you'll see that mini toolbar in most of the Microsoft apps, like Word as well. So that's really nice. The other thing, and I did go over this in a What the Tech video, is the quick access toolbar. So you do have that here. Mine right now is defaulted to the top, but if I click that drop down arrow, again, this is where you can edit and change and assign specific actions to a specific PowerPoint document. I, I'll repeat, I did go over all of this and how to use the quick access toolbar in my What the Tech video. So if you did miss it, you could always check it out on our website. But this toolbar is a very, very useful thing. I highly suggest you using. And again, this is something you could do in Word, PowerPoint, almost all of the Microsoft applications. Okay, next up, search bar. So again, the search bar is available in all the Microsoft apps. In PowerPoint, you can search actions, notes, people, or specific items within your slide presentation. So this is really nice. If you're looking for a specific action or tool and you can't find it in the ribbon, don't waste your time trying to search for it manually. Just type in the search bar what you're looking for, and that action is going to come up right away for you. So if you can't find designer and you need to use it, just start typing it in and it'll pop up for you right here. And you can click on it and it'll pop it open for you. So that's a really nice tool as well. Okay, so that's kind of the general overview. Now I'm going to move on to best practices. So one thing I find very important is that people need to make sure with all Microsoft apps that they're signed in. So always check on the top right-hand side up here in any of your applications just to make sure you see your name and your correct account. Sometimes if you log into maybe a personal Microsoft account or another person uses your computer and logs into their account or any of those kind of little wonky things that may come up, you may lose access to your files and you don't want that to happen. So just always make sure that you're logged in on the top right-hand side into your correct account in any application that you open. With that, if you're logged in, you should be able to be syncing and automatically saving. So you don't necessarily have to go to File and Save or Save As, right? Because it's automatic, it's cloud-based, it's going to save for you automatically. But I just want to point out one thing. On the top right-hand side, especially in PowerPoint, this auto save sometimes is not defaulted on. So definitely make sure you toggle that on and choose exactly where you want that file to be saved. This way, you don't have to worry about having to click save a bunch of times, or are you losing your work? If these things are turned on, and I'm just going to name my presentation, training. If these things are turned on and you're signed in right from the beginning, you have no worries. You will always be able to find your work. So it's definitely very important. Okay, next up is view. Actually, I wanted to just point out one other thing about the ribbon or the actions in the ribbon. If you're not sure what something does, and this is again across any Microsoft app. So for example, there are a lot of options in the insert tab up at the top here. If you're not exactly sure what some of these do, if you just kind of hover your mouse over it and let it go, so just kind of leave your mouse there and don't touch it, you'll get a little bit of a description of what that tool or action does and what it means. So that's I think a great feature that Microsoft put in there, because sometimes you'll see something and be like, oh, I wonder what that does, and you'll have no idea, but you just hover over it, leave your mouse, and it'll tell you exactly what it does. And view. Okay, so we're going to go into view tab. I just want to give you an option on some of the different views you can use or see or turn on in PowerPoint. So this would be the normal view where you see the presentation, you see the slide that you're working on in the kind of bigger window, and then all of your slides are on the left-hand side. This is the normal view. They also have what's called the outline view. They have a slide sorter. This is nice if you're building a slide deck and maybe want to click and drag and reorder them in a nice visual way that you can see all of them at once. This is a nice way to do that. So for example, if I'm like, I don't really like this slide in this location, you could easily click and drag it and move it in the location that you want it to be. So the slide sorter is a really nice view if you want to see everything all at once. You also have a notes page. You can add some notes under each slide. and then you have reading view, kind of what your presentation would look like if you were presenting. Okay, so those are your different view options. I'm just going to go back to normal for today's purposes. The other thing I wanted to show you, and I didn't add it to the agenda, but I thought it was important. You can hyperlink to an object or words on any of your slides. So what that means is if I was talking about something in a PowerPoint presentation that I wanted to link to so that I could easily click it and then pull that next, say, file or website up or video up, you can easily do that, but you can link it to either words or an item, like a picture, which is really, really nice. So, for example, if I wanted to link to this picture, so if I was talking about employee onboarding, that's fresh in my head right now, and I wanted this picture to link to a video, I could right click on that picture and I can go to link. Now, sorry about that. If you are inserting a link to a video or a specific website, for example, you would click insert link at the bottom here, and then you would just paste the link right there. So let's see, I'm just going to quickly grab a website and I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm click OK. So now this picture is directly linking to this website. So if when I'm in presentation mode, if I click on this picture, and you can see if I just kind of move my mouse over, my mouse is a regular pointer right now, but as soon as I get to this picture, it changes to a finger pointer, which tells me there's something linked there. And now I can click on that and it's automatically popping open the website that that image is linked to. So you can hyperlink just like that to a different file, a website, and you can use either an image or words in your presentation to link. So that was something I wanted to quickly show you. Let me get out of this mode. Why can't I see? There we go. Okay. Okay, so up next is the did you know section. So I'm going to try and go through this really quickly so that Cliff has enough time at the end to show you Morph, which is a very new cool feature for Microsoft PowerPoint. So you could present in Teams directly from your PowerPoint presentation. So if you have your PowerPoint presentation open and you know you need to present in Teams, but you're not in the Teams meeting yet, you could just click present in Teams from here and get into that Teams meeting that you need to present in, or vice versa. If you're in a Teams meeting, you could go to PowerPoint Live to pull up this file and present this file in your Teams meeting. It allows your participants or the people that are in the meeting to interact with your slide deck in a real-time way, as opposed to just seeing the slides on their screen. And again, I actually did a What the Tech video on this as well. So this will also be on the website if you want to learn more about that. Cameo is definitely another really great feature. So if you go to record, you'll see something called Cameo. And I don't know if it'll work because I already am in a meeting. Yeah. But what it does is it pops in a circle here. Now, if I wasn't in this meeting using my camera, my face would be here, right? Like what you would see in the camera. And you could actually record yourself in a Cameo type version in your PowerPoint slides. So it's almost like doing similar to the videos that I do for What the Tech, where I can talk through a PowerPoint presentation. So this is a really, really nice feature. And then up next, Insert tab. Like I said before, there's a lot of stuff in the Insert tab. You can insert tables just like this into a PowerPoint slide. You can insert pictures. And let me tell you, their stock images are really cool, really great. They have a lot to offer. So you don't always have to kind of come up with images off the top of your head. You could always search for them here. You can upload a screenshot, photo album, shapes, icons, 3D models. You have text box, word art, and again, here would be where you could insert a video, and you can insert from something you may have saved on your on your device, or you can go right onto online videos, which is here is where you can paste any online URL video, any URL for any online video, and it will immediately embed that into your PowerPoint presentation. So that's really nice. What am I up to? Dictate. Sorry about that. Going back home. Dictate here. This is where you can use your voice to type anything you want to say. So instead of having to use your keyboard, if you turn dictate on, it will just start typing directly into your slide presentation, almost like you're adding a text box. So that's a really nice thing. If you had to type a lot, maybe in a PowerPoint presentation, you could use dictate. And they also have the translate option. Sorry, it's in review tab. You have the translate option as well. So you can translate selected text into a different language. Okay, I'm going to just quickly show you rehearse with coach and collaboration with comments, and then I'm going to leave it to Cliff to do the last few minutes with Morph. So rehearse with coach, I think, is really nice because it gives you the ability to rehearse a PowerPoint presentation and gives you feedback before you actually do the PowerPoint presentation with the people you're presenting to. So if you go to the search bar and type in rehearse with coach, it will pull up this kind of AI-ish type version of your PowerPoint presentation. And if you click start rehearsing, it will kind of record you and give you full-on feedback of what you could improve on in your presentation. It'll talk to you about maybe using too many filler words, which I definitely do too much of, and other things like that. So it's a nice way to kind of practice your presentation before and getting feedback, which is nice, before you actually have to give that presentation. So I definitely recommend checking that out. It's definitely a nice new feature. And then collaboration with comments is really nice. So if you're working on a presentation with others, remember that you could always highlight a section and then you can click new comment and you can mention somebody so they know this section or this part you know they either need to fix or add their information to, or you have a question about. And this is a nice way to collaborate with others. So I think I am done with mine. So I'm going to, in the essence of time, there's obviously a ton more, but in the essence of time, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to stop. Let me get back to my Teams, and I'm going to stop presenting and let Cliff present. There we go. And he is going to show you transitions, animations, but specifically Morph, because this is Microsoft PowerPoint's new feature, and it is very cool. So on to you, Cliff. Thanks. AKA Avatar Cliff.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, because I've had audio issues. What you didn't notice is the text I sent you about 3 minutes ago saying, I lost all my audio and heads up, you may have to keep going.
Nope, I did not see that.
Right. So every once in a while, I may ask you to say something just to make sure
Yes. Yes.
that you know,
Yep.
I'm okay. So okay, so Morph is a relatively new PowerPoint transition type between slides. If any of you have been kind of deep in the bowels of PowerPoint like I have through the course of my existence here at BOCES, I end up spending a lot of time with animations and trying to tell a story through PowerPoint, and I tend to spend a lot of time with it because I do believe that, you know, a picture helps tell a story. I don't necessarily enjoy PowerPoints that have tons of words on them and force people to read and those types of things. I tend to try to let either the animations, the pictures, of course I do have words, those types of things, but I try to let those things kind of tell the story and be incorporated well into that storytelling within the PowerPoint itself. And it's just my lens. And although I would not suggest I am a PowerPoint expert, I do try my best. So with that being said, what I will do is share my screen briefly and give you a very quick and potentially poor demonstration of what the morph transition is. So I will share my screen quickly here, and I assume you can see my screen, right, Theresa?
Yes.
Say something.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Thank
We're
you.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. So a lot of people are familiar with animations, right? So if I come in here and I just insert, right, a picture, and let's just take a stock image here real quick and just say, oh, that's nice. Insert that. A lot of folks are familiar. Let's just take that and let's move it to another slide here. A lot of people would say, okay, well, I want this to, fade in or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll go to animations and I'll say fade it in. And let's just take it from here. And by default, these animations go to on click normally. So what I can do is show my animation pane here, and you see this little icon here that has a little mouse. That means that it's going to be on click. A lot of times you can come in here and you can adjust a lot of the effect options, just so that you know. So I can come in here and tell it after the animation I wanted to do certain things. I can change the timing, so I can say on click or have it do it with previous or after previous, those types of things. I can delay it. I can set the duration to be faster or slower. I can repeat it, etc. All those great things. So if I take this right now and I go into slideshow mode, you'll just very quickly see, and I know this isn't what the presentation is about per se, but come in here and you'll see that that just kind of fades in nicely like that, which sometimes is more than enough. However, Morph brings a new dynamic to some of these presentations, etc. So just to give you an idea of what this will do, Morph means that when I have an image here, typically what you want to do, so let's just say I want this picture. I'm going to get rid of my title slide here. So forget that this exists for a second. I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to say, I want this picture to kind of slide in from the left-hand side. It's not going to be my title slide, but I want it to slide in. So what you do is you essentially duplicate the slide, which is very easy. So typically what I'll do is I'll click the slide on the left and I'll hit Control C, and then I'll hit Control V just to paste it in. And now you see I have two of them. So I said I wanted this to slide in. So on the first slide, what I'll do is I'll actually take this picture and I'll move it off the screen. Okay, which sometimes doesn't seem logical. Excuse me while I look over my monitor here and just zoom this out a little bit. So I'll move this completely off the screen. And then I'll come back, and this is my, let me zoom in here. So this is now, so that picture is actually off the screen. And now I have it in the position where I want it on this screen. So now what I'll do is I'll just simply come up here and I'll select these two slides, and I'll go up here to transitions and I'll say morph. So now, hopefully what will happen, unless it makes a liar out of me, is I will come in here and I'll start my slideshow again. And now here's my first slide, which could have a title on it or something like that. And now that I have that morph transition, when I advance the slide, it will not work. Oh, too many slides. It will not work. Hold on. Of course it won't work because, let's try this again. One more time. Let's see if this will work. Usually I'm working with things on my screen here, so I'm not used to looking at white slides. And it says my next animation is that, you know what? I know why. I know why, because I was stupid. I actually left the animation in there. So it doesn't know what to do with it. So let me take that out, and now let's try again. And try to do these things somewhat quickly. So now, hopefully, it will slide in like that. So that's a basic, very basic morph transition. Okay, so again, I come back, and essentially all I did was I started with the picture off of the slide, and then on the next slide, I moved it in where I wanted it and positioned it, and I enabled the morph transition, and it'll do that kind of a thing. It gets a little bit interesting depending on, again, how you like to tell stories with your presentations, et cetera, those types of things. So I just cleared those slides. And now let's just say, for very simplicity's sake, I'm going to say, what do I want to do here? I want to insert a shape here. I'm going to take the shape and I'm going to say, I don't know, popular tech. Right, so we're going to take that, and now again, I have it on this slide. And let's just say that this was going to be like a subtitle slide where I was going to talk about this next, and then I was going to have bullet points come in. So again, what I can do is I can take this slide and I can duplicate it by hitting Control C and Control V. And you'll see I have a duplicate on the left-hand side of the slide. And now what I want to do is I just simply want to take this and I'm going to move it over here, and then I'm going to end up having bullets up over on this side. So what I can, again, because I want to morph that, again, very simple to now move that. I'm going to, the morph is already selected here. So I'm going to go back here and you'll see how that kind of takes shape. So now I have popular tech here. And now when I advance my slide, now it's going to move. Now keep in mind also that what you can do in a lot of these things is you can say, okay, well now I don't want it to be as big. I want to shift the shape maybe I want it to be a title. So now instead of it being up there, what I want to do is I want to make it the kind of the title bar on the screen. You'll see that now when I do that transition, you'll see that I have my popular tech here. And now if I advance, it's going to take that and it's going to change and it's going to morph it into the shape and the position that I want. So a lot of times what I do is I'll take this and I'll do something similar to this, and then I'll have my bullets. And then what I'll do is I'll take this now and I will duplicate this slide. So now I have the same thing. And maybe on the next slide, I'm going to change it from popular tech to, I don't know, it's just me being silly here. So less popular tech, right? And I'm going to have that as being my next piece. So again, now that I have this here, what I can do is select all these slides. I'm holding down the Shift key, by the way, when I multi-select these slides. I'm going to make sure Morph is enabled there. I'm going to come back here and I'll go into my slideshow and I will say, okay, here's my popular tech. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So now that'll become the top bar. I'll have my bullets or additional images come in, and then I'm going to talk about less popular tech. Sorry, I hit the button too quick. And that didn't, again, so again, it automatically took my little thing here. So let me get rid of that, my little animation. I have to make sure there are no animations on these. And then come back here and let's make it not make a liar out of me for a second. And popular tech, and hopefully now it'll go, nope, it does not like me. Why is it doing that? Oh, it's here as well. Let me make sure all this is removed. This is what happens when you try to demo certain things here. It's putting them back in. So come back here. Let's try this one more time. And then I'll show you one way in which we're actually going to use this technique in an upcoming board presentation. So popular tech, there we go. And liar out of me again. Trust me, it works. I don't know why it's not working right now.
You'll see it. You'll see it in what he's about to show you. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me, get rid of all this stuff. I'm going to get rid of all that. So this is actually a presentation, just the title slide that I took out of a presentation that Theresa and I are doing for an upcoming board meeting. And you'll see here that I actually have, something down here, some things down here. So what I'll do, this is kind of pre-positioned here. What I'll do is I'll copy this slide. Copy this slide. And what I want to happen on this slide is I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I have some room to work here. What I want to happen is I kind of want this now. Look, I'm on the second slide, which is where I want the movement to happen. I'm going to take the logo. I'm going to move it to the top. I'm going to take the bar. I'm also going to move that to the top. I'm going to get rid of what the tech over here. And you can have these things kind of slide off any way you want them. I'm going to move the laptop off to the side. I'm going to move each one of these off to the side. I am going to get rid of Theresa. I'm going to get rid of me. I'm going to take this tabletop. I'm going to move it down so it's towards the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to take this here. I'm going to move this up to show that, this is kind of what we believe in terms of professional development. I'm going to move this up here and to align to our strategic goals. And let's see how much of a liar PowerPoint wants to make out of me today, because I don't see that taking shape. I was having some tech problems right before this. So again, so what I did was I moved everything around in the second slide after I manipulated it. and duplicated the original slide. So you'll see that all the components that were on the original slide are still here. Those components have to remain, even though they appear off the screen. They have to remain. You can't just remove them and have, magic things happen. So I literally just removed them off the screen. You'll see that I already have the morph transition selected and across both the slides. And now we're going to watch it make me look foolish and not work. So here is the slide, the title slide. So now if I hit the forward arrow on my computer, what should happen, giant bunny quotes, should happen, is these things should move the way I move them. So there we go. So now you'll see that I have transitioned everything into now what is our mission statement and our belief statement about what professional development means to the organization. So back to the original, you'll see everything kind of slides back in and forward. Essentially, that was all accomplished just by moving all those elements off. You can also do some kind of fun and tricky things, I'll say. And so let's just come up here. I know I'm taking more time than you allowed me, Theresa, but what the heck, it's fun. So I'm going to introduce.
That's why I said I wanted to end with this, because it's really it's so creative. You can do a lot of things with it.
So another way that I've been thinking about, and I'm going to try to do this on the fly, so please bear with me. And I'll just try it because what the heck, I haven't tried this yet. One of the things that I've tried to think about doing is kind of creating almost like a carousel, right? So with cards. So if I take a circle, this is the way Cliff's brain works, everybody. So you'll have to excuse me. Andy's on the call, so I think he was anyway. No comments, Andy. Actually, he's purposely muted. That's good. So anyway, so I kind of thought about doing a carousel type of thing. I don't know exactly how this is going to work again, so excuse me. But let's just take something here and let's forget about colors for a second, right? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to say topic 1, and I'm going to duplicate it just by Control C and Control V again. I'm going to take it and I'm going to do this kind of a thing maybe. Do this. Let's just say, Theresa, I see you turning your head.
Yep, you say.
Yeah, tried. So let's make that topic 2. Let's duplicate that. We're going to do this. I'm going to try to do this very quick. So I'm kind of out on the wire here. Make this topic 3. I'm going to turn this around. This is not going to be perfect, so no critique on the, no judging here. So I'm going to try to make it as close as I possibly can to kind of the next one over there. I'm going to duplicate it again, come down here. I've always wanted to do this in a presentation just to kind of show this. I'm going to take that, do it there, and I'm going to duplicate it again, flip it around. I'm not going to change the title slides. I think everyone kind of gets the idea. So I'm going to do that. And now what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to worry about spacing them. I would kind of take this and I'd kind of shove it in here and make it touch the circle. Do the same thing here and the same thing here. You guys are all bright folks. You all get the idea here. Move that in there. So now what I want to do, I think, is I want to select all of these. So I'm going to hold down my control button. You'll see I get the cursor changed to a little plus symbol. So I'm going to select all of these. And then I have them all selected. I'm going to right click and I'm going to group. This would be interesting if it works. So now I have just these shapes grouped. So now I think I'm ready maybe to try this transition. So I'm going to select the slide in its entirety. I'm going to Control C and Control V to get a couple more copies of it. Now, going to take this and let's just say I want to, oh yeah, this may not work. We'll see. Maybe something like that. And then I'll come down here and I'll say, let's turn it this way. Again, I'm anticipating using the, didn't want to do that. Anticipating using the morph transition. So back to that one. And then let's just say, I now want to take this one and do this here. And again, I would kind of futz around with the positioning and things like that, maybe a little bit more. If this works, Theresa owes me a chocolate.
I was going to say you're a genius.
So now let's just play, right? So now I may move this down, depending on what the talking points would be, et cetera, those types of things. Let's just see. So now I come in here. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't think I selected morph. So let's come in here. Have to go to transitions. And yep, it wasn't selected. Select morph. Oh, that was interesting.
That was very interesting.
Yeah, that was cool.
My face likes to do some really weird things
Yep.
lately.
All right. So now I'm on that slide. I selected morph, and let's see what happens. So now I'm going to advance my slide. Oh, there we go. Look at that. So now that turns. Oh, it's kind of not behaving the way I want. I want it to kind of go around the circle, but again, I would kind of fine tune this so that it does it the way I want. But you'll see that this is kind of, again, so now I may have topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. I may do different things with this. But you'll see it kind of, I could, if I futzed around with the positioning a little bit more, get this to actually rotate around the circle so it looks like a sliding carousel type of a thing. And again, that's all using morph. So if I was not using morph, a lot of times what I would do is, let's just take this here just to show you the pain that would be involved in doing that. I would have to ungroup this, right? And now I would have each one of these, and I'd have to select all of these, go to animations, go down here and say, I want this to arc. And then I would say, okay, now here's my arc. I'd have to kind of play with this now, and I'd have to set my arcing so that it's where I want it to be. I'd have to drag all these individual points around and kind of make it go where I want it to go.
Like creating a path for it almost.
Creating a path and things like that. You can do paths as well. You can do custom paths and kind of draw lines, but I would have to do this for each one. I'd have lines and arrows all over the page. Then I'd have to come up here and mess with the timing and say all start with previous type of thing and adjust the slides. So this tends to be a much easier way to go about doing those types of things. And again, you can get really complex with this, and the presentations that I've done now, the last couple I've used morph, and it does take a little bit of getting the handle of, and you do end up with this kind of stuff all around the sides of your presentation. But you'll see the end result, I think, is a nice one, and one that kind of flows very nicely to kind of really make the presentation nice and dynamic. So apologize for the kind of fairly poor demo of it, but again, the key points with morph is that you want to start with the elements that you want either on the page or off the page, and then copy the slides so that they're all in the same place. So if I were to take this one again and kind of copy it down, you'll see that all the elements are still here. So what I can do now is, let's say I just want this one. Whoop, let me make sure I select the whole thing here. Whoop, come on, select. Whoop. Select, come on, just give me the whole thing, please. And now I want this to slide off. Whoop. It doesn't like when you move the cursor off the screen. I want to move that up there. Let's just say now this is a bar, right? So let's just say now I want this to be, I want this to be a bar at the bottom of the screen, or even, you know what? I want this to be on the right of the screen. So I'll take this now and I'll do this and I'll do this. And I'll take my coffee cup and I'll put it back in. I'll take this and I'll put it back in, and I'll take the laptop and I'll kind of shove it down here at the bottom. I want to move this stuff out of the way. So now I'm going to move forward with my presentation a little bit, and I'm really going to bring in some content. So I'll go now, hopefully this works, make sure my transition is set to morph and morph and morph. So now what we'll do is, what we should do is, we'd come from this being our title slide. We talk about the mission and the vision of professional development. And now I'll get into some content, and I'll now bring other content elements into the presentation. So again, I encourage everyone to kind of play with these things and kind of just learn the tools. And once you get used to it, it does get a little bit easier to use, and you kind of get the feel of it. And again, the key to morph is that you're starting with a slide. You're going to copy that slide as it is, and then move your elements around on the next one. You do end up again with kind of these extraneous elements all over the place, but that's more as your working canvas rather than anyone being able to see it once you're in the presentation. And that's that. So I will stop sharing for a second.
Thank you, because that was awesome. I did turn on the ability for anyone to unmute or turn on their camera. If you have anything you wanted to say or have questions, let us know. But again, I think the goal is with PowerPoint to really create a presentation that's engaging, holds the audience's attention, and Microsoft is really putting tools into PowerPoint that allows you to do that. in really creative ways. So just play around with it, I think that's the best way to do it sometimes is to really just get in there and start touching all the tools and playing around with things. So, and if you ever have any questions, um, reach out to me. We can always do a one-on-one training or a small group training. So always let me know if you have any interest in stuff like that. Um, and yep, our website also I always post resources there for each Microsoft application. So there's always going to be things there that you can rely on too to give you up-to-date information on all these fun things. Lots of changes coming down the pipeline with Microsoft. But that ends our presentation. Yes, we went over, but I thought, this is something that's really fun that if you are responsible for creating any sort of PowerPoint presentations, this is a really, really nice feature and tool that you could start playing with. So I thought it would be worth it to go over a little bit. Um, you're welcome. Thank you guys for coming. I'll send a follow-up email as I always do. So thanks so much for filling out those feedback questions. It helps me kind of guide my directions for what the tech videos and the webinar. So thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.